Um, anytime you lose a game when you've got 12, it's disappointing. And at the same time, we did come out of South Bend with some small victories. Thought we played them better this year and on offense by far than we did last year. Didn't play them as well defensively, and you've got to give them a lot of credit. They lose a lot of players last year, and they rebuild them with older guys. So that's what you want in your program. And Brian's been there 12 years, and they are at that stage where they reload, and they're very well coached. They don't make many mistakes. They don't have many penalties. They don't turn the ball over very much. They're very physical. My first experience in South Bend, I thought the fans were classy. The environment was great. I thought it was very much like Nebraska's fans. They love you coming, and they embrace you being there, and they help their team. But there wasn't a lot of trash talking and pushing and shoving back and forth between the two teams. I thought they handled it very well. And we did take the number 11 team to the fourth quarter again with chances to win, and there were things we'll talk about here, but the biggest sequence in the game was that we're going in to score down by 4 in the fourth quarter, and we don't connect on a screen pass that may score, and then we kick the ball down to the 9, and they get the 91-yard run. And there have been some videos surfacing that we'll send to the conference office, but that was a 14-point swing. And a 14-point swing in the fourth quarter when we've got momentum and going down to score. So that really, really hurt us. But I was proud of our team that we played better on the road. We didn't give in to adversity. You look at Sam Howell, it was one of the best performances he's ever had. He had the one bad play, but so he passes he's the all-time passing leader now in North Carolina history. He's the all-time leader in touchdowns responsible for with 101, and he only needs 239 yards the rest of the season to surpass Marquise Williams as the all-time leader in total yards. So that's quite an accomplishment in less than 3 years for Sam Howell. And then you look at what Josh Downs has done at 8 catches in 8 straight games. It's the longest streak since Devontae Adams had back in 2013. He had 9 straight. And Josh has also had 500-yard games already. So did a very, very good job with that. Defensively, we played hard. We missed, I think, 9 tackles. It was 8 or 9, which is 10 is usually the place that we stop. We missed 9. We gave up 7 explosives, which is more than you like, but we made 6. So that wasn't a big difference in the ball game. The biggest thing was we couldn't get off the field on third downs. And last year we did. We played better defensively against them last year than we did this year. And I really believe they're a better offense this year. They're more wide open. They throw it better. They're more tempo. So they're harder to stop this year than they were last year. And we held them to 59 yards rushing the first half, and then of course, the 91-yard run made a huge difference in the second half. But, again, they ran the ball too well in the second half, and that really killed us. So there were a couple of things that hurt us. The 4th and 3, we stopped them. We get off the field, and there's a face mask down the field away from the play that was kind of a late call, and all of a sudden that one just pops up and kills us. And then that leads to 7 points where we would have had basically a turnover and had the ball going the other way. And the other killer during the ball game was the fact that we have the 14-point swing possibility in the fourth quarter when we're down by 4, and we have the screen that may score that we just disconnect on. Sam punts the ball down, like we said, to the 9, and then they have the long run, which was a backbreaker. But I give the defense credit. Even after that, we throw the interception. So we have a bad series of plays there for a few minutes. And after the penalty, the ball goes down to the 17-yard line. The defense holds them and makes them kick a field goal to give us some chance in the game. So second half rushing was not good. They were 6 of 11 in third downs, where that's where they are. They're good because they can run the ball on first down. Williams went crazy because of the 91-yard run. We'd held him in check to 100 yards. It's pretty good for him because he's such a good player before that. But we didn't have a sack. We didn't have a turnover. We had one sack, I think. We were 2 for 5 on touchdowns in the red zone, so our defense did a good job of making them kick field goals when they got down there. But did think the guys played hard, and I thought you got to give a lot of credit to Notre Dame's offense. They just did some great things there. Offensively for us, it was much improved over last year's game. Third downs, again, we were 2 for 11 last year. We're 6 for 11 on Saturday night. We score a touchdown and have a holding penalty that calls that back, and that takes 4 points off the board, so that hurts us. We can't do those things. We're not good enough right now to take points off the board because of penalties. Like we said, Sam was fabulous. Josh Downs had 10 catches. The outside receivers had 8. So one of the things that our offensive staff did a good job of adjusting over the bye week was getting the ball back to the outside guys. We were just playing with 9 in some cases. So that helped us. Tight ends had 4 catches. Really excited about Bryson Nesbitt for the future. He's big, he can run, he can catch, and will really help us going forward at tight end. The biggest thing that needed to change offensively is we were 1 of 4 touchdowns in the red zone. We do not want to be kicking field goals. We can't do that right now because we're not stopping people well enough to win with field goals. We've got to score more touchdowns. Wake's turnover ratio is plus 10 for the year. Ours is -1, and that shows you one of the major differences in what's happening. We've got to do a better job of protecting the ball, which we did on Saturday night, and we've also got to do a better job of taking it away, which we haven't done in many games. I think Miami we did. In the other games we have not. Special teams, we have the one roughing the punter call that was the flags were picked up, and they said he was out of the tackle box, and we did not cover that punt well. They returned it better than we covered it, and the ball's at the 41-yard line. Short field gives them another opportunity to score with a short field. And again, we've done those things very, very well. We had the great kickoff return with Jaquarius Conley right before the half. We're starting to return more kickoffs, and that was the best one. Some of the others were average, but that gave us a chance to go down and score right before the half, even though we did not have any timeouts left. And then Grayson Adkins made all of his extra points and field goals, and Jonathan Kim kicked all of the kickoffs out. So they both did a tremendous job. We've talked about the transfer portal some. I think what's happening as I continue to look at it and study it, and I talk to the TV people about it, it gets more like pro ball, because if you're not playing and you don't care about just getting your degree at your school, you're probably going to transfer. And that's so 44 guys that are playing, 53 on the NFL, it gets more like the NFL, because if it's not working for me to play and I want to play, I'm just going to leave. And I can leave and play in January. So I do think that's one thing that's happening. Roster management will be more difficult, but like we said, you got to handle it. You got to be positive with it and just move on. Somebody asked me, is it a real negative if kids are going to leave? I think we're going to see kids leaving everywhere. We're already seeing it. But I think it's going to happen all over the country, and more in December probably than at midseason. But you're going to see guys that think they can have a better chance to play somewhere else, and they pick up and go, and that's what the rule was put in for. So that's what the NCAA is going to get. I don't know how it's going to affect graduation rates. We used to worry about that all the time, and now when you have, if people have 10 kids leave a year, I think the average last year was like 13. We're going to see graduation rates change too, and you could check it, but the number of guys after they graduate after they transfer do not graduate at near as high a level as well. I usually talk about Wake Forest more on Wednesday, but I'll just touch them here. Number 10 in the country for the first time in school history is quite an accomplishment for Dave Clawson. They're 8-0, which modern day and this year, when everybody's talking about all the transfer portal and COVID and all these things, it hadn't affected them. They've got basically the same team back they had last year. Sam Hartman and Sam Howell are two of the best to ever play the game and two of the best in the country. When you look at what they've done, I think Wake scored 155 points the last 3 weeks, and they're forcing turnovers on their defense, and they're playing really, really good in red zone defense. And those are the two things that we're not doing as well defensively as they are. They beat Virginia at Virginia, which we know is hard to do. They beat Florida State soundly at home, who we didn't. So last year's game was 59-53. We got our hands full, but ABC obviously wants to see these two quarterbacks play on a national stage, so that's why they have scheduled a game for noon on Saturday. So it should be a great one. We played number 11 last week. We're playing number 10 this week. The number 11's moved to number 8 after our game, and you've got a great quarterback at Notre Dame, unbelievable quarterback at Wake Forest, and a guy that's number 1 on the Heisman list at Pittsburgh about 11 days from now. So this is more like the NFL. We got home at 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, come back and play number 10, and then go play Kenny Pickett. So challenging times ahead, but it also makes us do things better. And we want to grow as a program. This is the way to do it. Questions?
Thank you, Coach. We will begin with J.B. Ricks. Go ahead, J.B.
Good morning, Coach. Appreciate you taking out the time as usual. I wanted to ask you about this challenge specifically coming up with Wake Forest, number 10 team in the country, national stage, and considering how this season has went for your program, based off the preseason expectations, do you feel like your team is going to look at this challenge as a way to salvage their season, beating a top 10 team at home in front of your home crowd and getting you one win closer to bowl eligibility? How much impact is that going to have on the way you guys approach this game?
JB, number one, you don't salvage a season. You do the best you can with what you do. So we wanted to win all the games, and we're not going to do that. So now what we're trying to do is get better each week as a team, which sounds like a coaching cliche. It's really not, because that's what we need to do. But we want to send our seniors out right, and we want to give them a bowl game and make sure that this team is getting better so we can head into spring practice with a different look for next year. No question that when you're playing the number 10 team in the country, very seldom does the number 10 team come to your place. So what a great opportunity for us. And they deserved it. This is late in the year. It's not like we were number 10 in preseason. Not like last year we were number 5 after 3 weeks. They've earned it. There are very few undefeated teams out there. And they've won an overtime game at Syracuse. They've won a tight game with Louisville at home. And that's what you got to do to be undefeated. So they're really, really good. And the fun thing for us is you stop worrying about all what should have happened or preseason. This is the number 10 team in the country and a great challenge for us and a fun time for us to figure out how do we get better? What should we have done differently as coaches to beat Notre Dame? What could we have done as players to cut out a few of those mistakes and beat the number 11 team in the country? And we had a chance to do that on the road. Now you've got the number 10. Whoever gets to play 10 and 11 back to back, that just doesn't happen. So this is good for us right now. It's good for us to get back down to earth and understand what we got to do to get it fixed and make sure that we continue to work in a positive way. So I like it. I like the challenge. We don't need any gimmies right now, and we don't. That wouldn't be a gimme for us anyway. But we need to be challenged to get better, and this will force us to do that.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, JB.
Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Speaking of getting better, what part or parts of the defense has, in your eyes, clearly improved since the opener in Blacksburg?
I think that we played very good on defense at Blacksburg. So that was one of our better games. But I do think, and Jay's coming up next, that's why we have the coordinators come here for you. And I don't have them talk after the game because I want them to have time to look at it, analyze it. We talk about it as a staff, and then they can be transparent with you and honest and tell you exactly what they see. And that's what I've asked them to do, like I try to do every Monday when I come in here. The thing I do like about them Saturday night that I didn't see all the time is there was great effort. And they had confidence at all time. They even on the 91-yard play, we had penetration. We were back there. It should have been a 2-yard loss. And we lose contain. He bounces out the backside. It's one of the best runs I've ever seen. So give Notre Dame credit for that. But the guys didn't quit after the 9. That was a killer, man. It took the juice out of everybody around us, and the guys kept fighting and they kept playing. Even at the end there, they held them to the field goal, which gave us some chance. So I like the fact that they're continuing to compete. I like the fact that we're missing fewer tackles. But we've still got to get sacks, which we're not getting like we want. We've still got to force turnovers.
On the flip side of that,
I'm sorry, Andrew. And they only scored 2 touchdowns out of 5 trips to the red zone. Last year, I think they scored every time a touchdown. So that was definitely a plus for our defense and a negative for our offense on Saturday night.
well, staying on the defense, as the head coach, what is the biggest concern that you have about the trajectory that things have gone with the defense?
I think the biggest thing is you got to stop more people and you got to force more balls. I mean, it's and you got to look at everything that has gone wrong that needs to be fixed, and you continue to look at personnel. A lot of young guys out there that'll continue to get better and stronger. And Jay Bateman knows what he's doing. Our defensive staff knows what they're doing. We played better against Notre Dame last year. I really think Notre Dame's offense is better. So we've just got to keep working. You look at Miami. They've run up and down the field against everybody they've played. So there's a lot of teams that are running up and down the field against teams. The defenses that are playing well enough to win, like Wake's, are forcing turnovers. And they're doing a better job in third downs and red zone. We didn't force turnovers. We didn't get off the field on third down on Saturday night, and we did stop them in the red zone, which was better than last year. So I think the biggest thing we've got to do is to play defense in modern day. You better force turnovers. And to do that, it goes back to the same old broken record. Stop the run on first down, put them in second long, third and long, and that's where you get your sacks and your turnovers, and we were not able to do that against Notre Dame.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Luciano, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
There were a lot of things you did well in the game. However, you once again had a lot of penalties, aside from third down defense, which you already mentioned. Is it fair to say that was the main reason for the loss?
It didn't help, Luciano. I don't know if it's the main reason for the loss, but it obviously didn't help. And the thing that we have to take up for our kids and our coaches in some cases is that we send every penalty that was not called or that we feel like was incorrectly called to the conference office on Monday and today. And they will get us back an answer tomorrow, and they will say, we agree this should have been called. They will say, we disagree with this one. We don't think that should have been called, or we think it was called correctly. And I've always thought that it would be a real positive for you and our fans to be able to see those responses. Because if all the penalties that were called weren't called properly, then that goes against our coaches and our kids, but nobody gets to see it, and I can't say anything about it. So I would hope at some point that we would be able to have those responses public, and that would be more fair in my estimation, more transparent with everybody.
Okay, next up is CL Brown.
Hey, Mack, you mentioned after the game that you felt like the offense looked like it did last year at times. I was just curious what you feel like here in these last few games.
Okay, CL, I thought that Sam's playing more comfortably and more confident than early in the year, and I think a lot of that's because our centers are getting well. When Brian Anderson had his foot procedure in preseason, and then Curion Johnson had a high ankle sprain early in the game at Virginia Tech, and then Josh Azudu had a high ankle sprain early at Virginia Tech. It really hurt us and set us back. Neither of the backs had played hardly any here in this offense. Our outside wide receivers had not played a lot. Josh Downs had not played a lot. We hadn't gotten the ball to our tight ends a lot in the past. So I think what we're seeing now is both backs are running with much more confidence than they did earlier in the year. They're both really playing at a high level right now. Our tight ends are playing at a high level, and Sam has confidence in throwing it to them. I think they had 4 targets on Saturday night, or 4 catches on Saturday night, more targets than that. Our offensive line is continuing to get healthy and therefore get better. Our outside guys stepped up more. I think we had 8 catches, I think, with the outside guys, and we'd been playing with 9 on 11 basically for a couple of games there where we weren't getting the ball to the outside receivers. So I feel like the whole offense now is starting to be more confident, and they'll have to continue to do that. They have to be really good on Saturday for us to have a chance to win. But I'm feeling more confident in our offense each week because they played great against Miami. We had the 1 interception for the touchdown in the first quarter, and then we laid an egg in the fourth quarter with the 2 series in a row. We still scored 45 points against Miami, and we all got mad because of the last 2 series, but that's not very fair. We should have scored 52 if we'd done what we need to do, but 45 points is a lot of points, and that gave us a chance to win. So actually the last 2 games back-to-back, we've played very well offensively.
And how much do we change coaching strategy given that the offense seems to be in rhythm?
See, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you try again?
Okay, I said, how much might that change your actual coaching strategy because the offense is playing at a higher level than the defense right now? In your opening about not wanting field goals because you gotta put up 7.
Yes, you go back to like we were the first 2 years, CL, and you can be much more aggressive. I really nearly went for the 4th down and 1 at the 29. And I did have a flashback from Georgia Tech where we went for it and didn't make it. And it was a 24-20 game. But that would have been my personality. And because they had an odd front some, and we've had issues at center with being healthy, and they submarine some, I didn't want to give them the ball back at that point in a 4-point game. But you can definitely, in a game where Wake Forest has scored 155 points in 3 weeks, you've got to take more chances and be more aggressive on offense because you're going to have to score points to have a chance in this game.
Okay, Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Mack, wanted to circle back to your conversation with Andrew about the defense. I feel like we've talked a lot in recent weeks about poor execution. I realize recruiting is going well, so in a couple years, a lot of those issues may be resolved just with talent. You mentioned some of the penalties that there, from my opinion, a couple bad ones in the game on Saturday night. But in terms of the coaching, I don't feel like we've talked about that quite a bit. Are you satisfied with the job the defensive coaches are doing?
I'm never satisfied with the job I'm doing, Greg, and this isn't, again, a cliche, or the job any of our coaches are doing, because it's not a perfect world, not a perfect business. There's always things that we can improve. And I think that this team's kind of in a transition with young and old. I said that in preseason. Nobody listened. And it's still that way. So you got some younger guys that are playing more than some older guys, and it makes it tough. That's why we'll probably see more guys in the transfer portal after the season, if not before. But I do think we're seeing a lot of young guys get better and play well, and we'll lose some super players like Jeremiah Gimmel. But you're not going to lose a lot of seniors off that defense. And we just got to continue to get better and better and better. And at times I see us play really well. They're chasing the ball. They're trying hard. We're missing fewer tackles. And at other times I see us take the wrong angle on a flare where a guy just runs for 20 yards, and I see us not get an outside linebacker out to a bubble fast enough and have an easy score. So there's some things that we got to continue to do. Are they all good coaches? They all look like great coaches against A&M and Notre Dame last year. So, yes, they know what they're doing. They're really good at it. This has been a year where not much has been easy for us from Virginia Tech on, and we just got to keep working and learn from this. And I do think that the setbacks we're having this year will make us stronger and create more urgency to do better in a lot of different areas moving forward. We got a little full of ourselves, and you can't do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, our last one today for Coach Brown will come from Aaron Beard.
Hey, Mack, I wanted to ask sort of a little bit more of a global ACC question. I think about a month ago, there were 5 games. 4 of them were 4 or fewer points. The next week, Clemson plays tight with Syracuse. You guys had that dogfight with Miami. A week later, NC State, Miami. What do you think is the cause of all the close games? Is this a matter of familiarity of opponents? Is it a matter of parity? What's your assessment there?
Aaron, it's a great question, and I love college football, and I love studying it, and I've thought about it. I've talked to people about it. I've talked to my buddies about it. Brian Kelly and I even talked about it before the game on Saturday. I don't know. It is parity, I think. I'm not sure why it's parity right now. Number one, the game is so quarterback-driven, and you have to score a lot of points in modern day. And the rules have tended toward offenses being better than defenses, just because you can throw screens and block downfield. And there's so many different things now you can do on offense that you couldn't do. Targeting. There's so many plays stopped for targeting in the games now. So it's made tackling more difficult. The rules where you couldn't tackle as much in preseason have made tackling more difficult. So when everybody's got speed on offense and people have good quarterbacks and the defense is at such a disadvantage, it's harder to coach defense than ever before. It's harder to play defense. It's harder to coach tackling. Because when you tell a guy, I sit and watch the targeting reviews right now, and I'm about 50-50 on deciding whether it's targeting or not. Because I think I know what it is, and I'll say, no, there's no way that's targeting. They'll kick the kid out of the game. So, and I also think, Aaron, that the transfer portal is changing the locker room. We thought name, image, and likeness would do it, and maybe it is. But I think more it's the transfer portal. Because teams aren't as close, and you're seeing up and down teams. You're seeing more teams that'll play great one week because they're hot and going, but when they get in a tight situation, they're not playing as well. And I have to think that has something to do with guys coming in from outside that we're lucky Ty Chandler's been a great addition for us. I'm glad he's here. He's been wonderful in the locker room. Coaches even made him a captain a couple of weeks ago. But some people are taking 10, 15. And what does that do to actually the nature of the culture of your locker room that you recruited? Because the more guys you take in the portal, obviously your players look at it and say, I must not think I'm good enough, or they're bringing somebody in to take my place. And I think that's why we'll see more transfers too. But I think probably more than any other time, Aaron, and I had this discussion this morning, and I think it is true. When you look at the NFL plays with 53 guys, what we're doing now is we're playing with 44 and the rest of them are mad, or they're really young. And if you were mad in the past, you were patient, you waited your turn, now you just leave. So I think that hurts your team. It's not, everybody's not all in all the time. And that's not, I'm not talking about our team, I'm talking about everybody's team. Because there's more people looking at leaving than trying to figure out a way to win that game. And I do think that has hurt college football teams, and I think it'll continue to hurt them until we figure out the balance of who's going to stay and who's not over time. And is the transfer portal going to stay as powerful next year and the next year? If 2,000 kids go in and a whole lot of them don't find a place to go or a better place to go, are we going to continue to have people that have lack of patience and move? And that's all I can figure, Aaron. I've thought about it, and I think the transfer portal, not everybody being bought in. The ones that are playing are happy, and they're only happy if they're getting the ball, because we're in a pretty selfish society right now across the board, not just in college sports. And I've seen 47 years of it, so it has changed a whole lot, and it's ever changing. But I think those are the only things that I can attribute to the possibility of so many games being close. And I've never seen this many ranked teams get beat. I mean, every Saturday night you get home and you turn on TV and number 12 got beat, number 15 got beat. I don't know who you can put in the top 25 anymore. It's really hard to find enough teams. When I was voting, and I quit voting for that reason because it would be unfair. I thought it was unfair to North Carolina if I'm a voter in the coaches poll, and I don't pick a Clemson, or I didn't put Wake Forest 10th. That would be a huge issue this week for us with me. So that's why I quit voting. I don't think it's fair for me to vote when I would have opinions that might change the outlook of our program in our conference's eyes, or if I picked an Oklahoma over a Clemson at some point, and then we're going to play Clemson, that would be tough. But I really feel like that's what's happening around the country, and I don't see it changing very much. I think we're going through such a transition right now with college football. I've never seen this many upsets. I've never seen this many points scored. That it seems like over the next couple of years it has to level back out. And the last thing is name, image, and likeness probably has something to do with it too, because that's gotten to be more individualism. And I want to get my opportunities, and I want to get my money, and how does that disrupt locker rooms? Sam has done an unbelievable job for us of making it work because he involved all the other players. But is that happening across the country at every place? And a guy that's making a lot of money through opportunities, what if he gets benched? And the backup comes in and he's not making any money. How does that change the dynamics in your locker room and with parents too? So there's a lot of things going on right now with coaching that I don't think any of us I know none of us have ever dealt with before.
Thanks, Mack.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, Coach, thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark.